Trump's offering to buy out the entire workforce of the CIA. So he's pretty much saying to them, hey, if you guys don't like what I'm doing, I'll give you your paycheck for the next 8 months, and you could get the hell out if you don't like it. So let's take a look at this article here. Let's check this thing out. Wall Street Journal. So CIA offers to buy out entire workforce as part of Trump makeover. So Central Intelligence Agency offered to buy out its entire workforce on Tuesday in what officials have said to be is a bid to bring the same agency in line with the president's priorities, including targeting drug cartels. The CIA appeared to be the first intelligence agency to tell its employees that they can quit their jobs and receive about 8 months of pay and benefits as part of Trump's push to downsize the federal government. The offer last month made to most civilian federal agencies exempted some categories of federal workers, including those with national security roles. The agency is also freezing the hiring of job seekers already given a conditional offer, and an aide to CIA Director John Ratcliffe said, some are likely to be rescinded if the applicants don't have the right background for the agency's new goals, which also include Trump's trade war and undermining China, the aide said. We have to talk about China in a second. So we're finding out some interesting things about China and the trade stuff. Across government agencies, overall interest in the deferred resignation offer appear to be low. Career coaches focused on federal workforce say, citing conversations with more than 100 people. Many people have questions about whether they are legally able to take another job during the payout period or whether they can return to government under a future administration, these people said. There's no statutory authority that I can see for the president making this offer, said Senator Tim Kaine, that fucking guy, who represents tens of thousands of federal workers, and said no constituents have told him that they are taking the deal. Doing so would present risks, he said. The administration immediately knows you don't want to work for me. They'll find some other way to get rid of you. You should not raise your hand. Trump administration officials have said their offers are also meant to signal to those who oppose Trump's agenda to find work elsewhere. Ratcliffe told the White House to extend the same buyout package to the CIA. The aide said, believing it would pave the way for a more aggressive spy agency, and hopefully aggressive against the right people. I mean, the CIA is supposed to be a spy agency against the rest of the world, excluding the U.S. They're not supposed to be used domestically. That's clearly stated. And it's a safe assumption, I would say, that they have, in fact, been used domestically in very recent history. A CIA spokeswoman said the move was part of an effort to infuse the agency with a renewed energy. In his confirmation hearing, Ratcliffe promised to launch a more hard-edged spying operations and covert action, naming drug cartels in China as key adversaries. To the brave CIA officers listening around the world, if all that sounds like what you signed up for, then buckle up and get ready to make a difference. He told lawmakers last month, quote, if it doesn't, then it's time to find a new line of work. You guys, let me tell you. So, yeah, our initial impression of the CIA and the FBI is like pretty much as bad as it gets, right? But I think like what we see and what we hear about them is maybe like the top 5% of the people that work there. Like, I wanted to work for the CIA at one point. That's what I went to school for. That's like what I thought about for a good 5, 6, 7 years of my life, like before going into school in the first few years of school. And, you know, a lot of people I went to school with had that same thought process. And we did it out of patriotism. You know, I thought it was a good way to like strengthen America, put America in a better position. But I mean, like I changed paths when I found out how it actually works. A lot of them didn't. And, you know, I know a lot of people that work in the CIA. I know a lot of people that work in like the intelligence agencies and all around the government. And like, they hate the way it's been. Like they would love to like do the things that like they actually know are good for the country. They would love, like, you know, you get this fictionalized version of how it works in the movies and TV shows and stuff, but that's the way it should actually work. Like you should be going after people who are objectively hurting the country. Like you shouldn't be running freaking drugs for the cartels. You shouldn't be running guns for terrorist organizations like they do. Like, why are we giving Syrian rebels arms? Why are we like helping the mafia and drug cartels bring drugs into the country to fund black op operations. Like that doesn't put America in a better position, but that's what they've been doing. It's documented. And then like, why are we undermining certain presidents? Like when did it become politicized? The 60s. So I like this, and I don't think they should stop here. I think that, with stuff like this, with the military they already did it with, but then think about like all the doctors that lost their licenses for, giving out ivermectin or prescribing ivermectin during COVID. Like those people should be brought back immediately. And then people who are on the opposite side of that, like they should be critically looked at. Because, like they tried to do like this filtering out process of people who would make a stand about what they believe in, like over the last 4 years. So we have to reverse the hell out of that in like a major way and then fortify it. So what else we got? Where am I? Trump's CIA will have a greater focus on the Western Hemisphere, targeting countries not traditionally considered adversaries of the U.S., the aide said. For example, the CIA will use espionage to give Trump extra leverage in his trade negotiations, potentially spying on Mexico's government amid the ongoing trade spat, the aide said. Interesting stuff to be disclosing. The CIA will also take on a significant role fighting the Mexican drug cartels, the aide said, which Trump would designate a terror group. Yep, blah, blah, blah. For the decades after its creation, the CIA was focused on America's rivalry with the Soviet Union. After 9/11, the agency transformed much of its workforce into the shadowy paramilitary force that could kill terrorists with drones. In recent years, the CIA has shifted back and focused on countries including China, which has been widely viewed by the national security officials as the U.S.'s greatest long-term threat. Yeah, I had a strong feeling, like as far back as 8 years ago, that our strongest long-term threat was a large portion of our own government, which is being routed out now. So, in my opinion, the greatest national security threat is things like USAID, things like that, things they pay for, the media companies they pay for, the fake protesters they pay for, the politicians they pay off. That's our greatest national security threat. So, like the curtain's been pulled back. We live in a new freaking world right now. Like their system is destroyed, and then even the influence they have, like they're like, this is like the greatest example of power versus force I've ever seen. Like if you haven't read that book, it's about like exactly that. Like one side, it's like organic, like look at Trump, grassroots movement, right? Genuinely saying things that people want to hear, things that resonate with them, things that got them excited. You can't fake that. You can't fake the passion, people pursuing what he's saying, people going to his rallies. And then the other side, like totally brute force manufactured, like paying people to protest, paying people to show up at rallies, paying freaking journalists and media to write certain things about you, paying fact checkers to censor you, paying social media companies or threatening social media companies to censor things. Like, so that's power versus force. And like in hindsight, what a freaking blessing. Honestly, it's crazy to say, but what a blessing that Trump didn't win in 2020, because like this wouldn't have went down this way if he won in 2020. Like right now, like the system's being like the swamp is literally being drained right now. It's crazy to say, but the swamp is literally being drained. If you enjoyed the short clip, click right here to watch the full episode, and remember to subscribe to the channel. God bless.